Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news. Big news. It's reaction to Ralf Rangnick's press conference for the Arsenal game, and he's dropped a couple of absolute big topics in there. We're probably not going to see Paul Pogba play for Manchester United ever again. This has been revealed by Ralf Rangnick. But also, what I love about Rangnick is that he says something and actually he says something and there is a deeper meaning to what he's saying. And basically, in talking about Erik ten Hag, he has basically said that we need a new team, that these players ain't good enough, and that with a new team, then Man United's future can start. And that basically he was on a hiding to nothing with this team because he didn't have the freedom to get rid of who he wanted. He didn't have that pre-season, and he expects Erik ten Hag to get that support and therefore be a good manager at Manchester United. But a very obvious call out of this squad by Ralf Rangnick, and for very much the same reasons that many of you have been calling them out. In fairness, I think Ralf Rangnick answered a lot of the questions, but some of them he just didn't want to talk about. And I think, to me, he looks like a man that's just has been utterly let down. I think the club's had a part to play in it, certainly. Don't think that the club had come out of this untainted. But I think that the players ultimately, yet again, have to be called out for their complete and utter lack of sincerity and effort in a Manchester United shirt this season. But lots to get into. Obviously, spoke about Arsenal as well. We'll hit this straight head on. He was asked about the game against Arsenal and whether we're still in a top four race. And he said, look, at the end of the day, after the game against Liverpool, you've just got to approach the game as it is and hope to play better with more confidence and aggression. Obviously, the players are disappointed. We have got some players back for this game. Scott McTominay, Rafael Varane and Cristiano Ronaldo. All very welcome, actually. And we need, whether they're good enough long term, it's about a game against Arsenal. So certainly we need those players back. And certainly in the case of Varane and Ronaldo, it's a big improvement and from Tuesday night, so good to have them back. And McTominay gives us an option in the midfield with Pogba not there. Players not going to be involved: Fred not going to be back, Cavani not going to be back, Luke Shaw not going to be back, and Paul Pogba not going to be back. And also Ralf Rangnick saying that in relation to Paul Pogba, 4 weeks is how long he could be out for, which basically means that the only real chance we've got of seeing Paul Pogba again, because we've got a 2-week gap between Brighton and Crystal Palace, is Crystal Palace, which is an away game. So you're not going to see Paul Pogba playing for Man United at Old Trafford again. You're probably not going to see Paul Pogba playing in a Manchester United shirt again. Welcome to Members Club, Ishmael. Just a bit of a reminder, an exclusive video has gone up in the last few minutes on the Members Club. It's Nkunku versus Bruno. Really enjoyable head-to-head analysis there of a potential United target against somebody who he would be playing for their position. So check it out on the Members Club. You can join by clicking the join button, get your exclusive content and badges there. But I think with regards to the Pogba, I mean, it's such a weird world, isn't it, that we live in at the moment. Ralf Rangnick, as expected, was asked about this Harry Maguire incident, where the email has been sent threatening him and his family, which is disgusting. And obviously, Ralf Rangnick said that I've not spoken to Harry yet, not spoken to him yet, but it's the bad side of the crazy world we live in. We're all behind him, and obviously he will be speaking to him. As I said, I don't think Harry Maguire should be playing tomorrow. Forget whether he should be playing because he's good enough. If he's had an incident like that's caused him and his family trauma, then surely he needs to take a few days off. Lindelof did it. You know, I think he needs to take some time out. Like, this is a big game against Arsenal, and it's high end sport, and his head's clearly, if it's been reported to the police, it's obviously been taken seriously. He shouldn't be playing tomorrow. You know, forget the player. And whether you think he should be... I mean, I personally don't think he should be playing anyway, but that's to do with footballing reasons. On humanity levels, if he's gone through a traumatic incident like that, the club should not be even taking him. And if he's going, oh, I'm the captain of the club, I want to play. Well, this is where, you know, you've got to be protecting your players. Like, he shouldn't be playing tomorrow. If that incident has been reported to the police and it's a major incident, he shouldn't be playing. I've got a feeling he'll play tomorrow. And that's wrong on 2 levels. On a human level, he shouldn't play because it's a traumatic incident. On a footballing level, he shouldn't be playing anyway. But, you know, that's the thing that I think we need to move on to now. The club should be protecting him. The club should be taking him, you know, giving him some time off. Like, get him back for the Chelsea game. But I don't know whether that'll happen. But look, in relation to that, it's mad, isn't it, really? Because you get something like that that's absolutely vile, and people are going on about, you can't say anything about players and everything like that. And then, obviously, you've got Paul Pogba, and basically, if you go on social media at the moment, it's just abuse. Basically just abuse. Glad he's not playing for our club. Fuck off. Get out, Pogba. Glad we won't see him again. What a waste of money, this, that and the other. And it's like, the contradiction isn't lost on me. It's like, you're not allowed to criticise one player, but you can absolutely go in on another player. And my opinion on this is that I always knew Paul Pogba was going to leave this summer. And obviously it looks like he's never going to play for United again now. And I just think it's a shame that he was wrongly booed at the end of the Norwich game, and that's his legacy at Manchester United. He has been here since he was 14, and he knows more about this football club than most of them players who will be playing tomorrow. And I just think, partly to do with himself, I agree, but largely to do with, we talk about this line between criticising underperforming players and an agenda. Well, let's forget the fans for a moment. You're telling me certain people in the media haven't had an agenda against Paul Pogba for the last few years on mainstream channels. So, you know what? I don't choose hate in this instance. I don't choose hate anyway. I choose, if you're a crap footballer, you get called out as a crap footballer. It should never be personal. But Paul Pogba, people cheering and giving him abuse is that he's now never going to play for United again. I just think, I tell you what, if a player, let's say McTominay said tomorrow he's putting in a transfer request, I'd be happy. I would be happy, because I think, you know what, we can get a better player than that. But I wouldn't be booing him or giving him bloody abuse because he was leaving. Same with Fred. Same with Rashford. Same with any player that maybe should be leaving. So I just think it's a shame how it's ended with Paul Pogba. I think Rangnick's right. It's a glimpse into what the world's really like. It's quite a nasty world, isn't it? At the end of the day, if you don't want Pogba here, you're getting your own way anyway. So being abusive and, I'm glad he's never going to wear the shirt again, I think we should be better than that. If you want him to go, you've got your own way. I think we should be better than that. I actually do want him to go, but I don't like the way it's ended. I don't like the way he was booed last week when 6 or 7 other players should have been booed more than he was, or at least the same. So, look, it's a shame. It is a shame it's ended like that. I'm not surprised it's ended like that. I think the contrast with how someone like Paul Pogba gets treated and other players get treated is very much there for other people to see. That's probably a bigger topic. But yeah, he won't be playing for Manchester United again, according to Ralph Rangnick. So yeah, go with your opinions and do what you want with them, I suppose, because it's a very divisive topic, and I'm certainly not going to tell you what you can and can't think in relation to a footballer. Cristiano Ronaldo, welcome to the Members Club. Imagine if it was the real one. Thank you very much for joining. So we also spoke about recruitment. Obviously, we're moving into the questions about Erik ten Hag here. And I mean, at first, Ralph Rangnick was quite standoffish. He was asked about recruitment and other clubs' recruitment and what Man United would be doing in the summer. And Ralph's reply was, my focus is on the next few games. You'd have to speak to the board about recruitment. And that did make me think, I'd love that. I'd absolutely love that. I'd love it if we actually had people in this football club who spoke to the club fans about recruitment, because Dortmund do it, Bayern Munich do it. You've got a manager there saying, I'm focused on the next 5 games of the season. If you want to talk about recruitment, speak to somebody from the board. They never do. We never get that. It's always on the manager. And I actually think that is something that United could improve. If we do have a director of football, or we do have a head of recruitment, they maybe should be doing interviews about recruitment, because it's unfair that the manager gets all that as well. And United have always been terrible at leaving it all on the manager. He then was asked about Erik ten Hag and the appointment of Erik ten Hag. Welcome to Members Club, Michael Barnes. Thank you very much for joining. He said, I don't know Erik in person, but at Bayern and Ajax, I like the football that he's played, and I'm positive with a pre-season, his own staff and a new team, we'll see a new team and improvement. Now, I think that was the takeaway of the interview, but probably the takeaway of Rangnick's whole time at Man United. In one sentence, I think he really, really nailed down why he's failed, why the team has failed, and why we've had a bad season. It's just whether you can read it. And I think it's very obvious to read. So he's talking about Erik ten Hag. He says he's a good manager. I like what he's done at Bayern Munich. And with a pre-season, his own staff and a new team will see improvement. And I think he's not just talking about Erik ten Hag there. He's also talking about why he's failed. He hasn't had time. He hasn't had a pre-season. He was thrown in the deep end in December. He didn't have his own coaching staff. He basically had to use a lot of Ollie's, plus Darren Fletcher. And he's had to use Ollie's team as well. So basically, he answers a question about Erik ten Hag, but also exposes why he's failed. He hasn't had time, he hasn't had backing, he hasn't had his own staff, and he's had to work with players that just aren't good enough. And he says Erik ten Hag we will see improvement because he's a good coach who will have a pre-season with his own staff and be able to build his own team. And I almost felt like applauding him, but then I thought, no, but I'm sat in my dining room. No one else is in here. I'm applauding the walls. But I do applaud Ralph Rangnick for that. He's always been an intelligent person in interviews. He's always given us way more than Ollie and other coaches did. And I think he's absolutely spot on that Erik ten Hag, with his own coaches, building his own team and a pre-season, we will see improvement. And this is something that Rangnick's not been able to deliver. And I think to all those pundits and all the press and all those fans who've gone, well, Rangnick came in and he said he was going to play rock and roll football and he wanted the job and this, that and the other and he's been no better than Ollie. I think it was just a big up yours to you lot, because basically he just spelt out why. He didn't have a pre-season. He had to hit the ground running with a bunch of players who basically down tools. He wasn't given any support in January and he wasn't given his own coaching staff. And ultimately, he's been reliant on a bunch of players that have down tools and coaches that aren't good enough. And it will be different for Ten Hag. Mehdi says, am I wrong in fearing that with our board's conduct and the power these players have, we will be getting news in a year's time that Erik ten Hag has lost the dressing room? That is a risk, Mehdi. Welcome to the Members Club, Ross Green. That is a risk, and that is on the board to make sure that that risk doesn't become a reality. Ultimately, you have got a very toxic environment within Manchester United Football Club. On a very basic level, these players will stab a manager in the back. 100%. Now, the club needs to protect the new manager from that. Get him a stab vest. How do you get him a stab vest? You need to remove some of these players, bring new players in, and surround this coach with security. It's true, isn't it? If you're a celebrity and you're going into a place where people might want to attack you, you employ security. Ralph Rangnick basically walked into Manchester United where people were going to attack him and we gave him no security. We gave him no staff. We gave him no players. He basically went in there and on a hiding to nothing. Erik ten Hag needs to bring his own players in, that's security, and he needs his own coaching staff around him, that is massive security, and he needs the board 100% behind him, which is even more security. So that when those players come at him, they can't get at him. Rangnick's been too easy to get at for these players, and they've exposed him. He got the American guy, says Prick. Yeah, he got basically, Ralph Rangnick was given a guy from America, and another guy, I think, came with him who did some video analysis. It's not really a complete suite of training expertise, is it? Not at all. So he also was asked about Maguire, which we've spoken about. He was asked about whether he had any say in Erik ten Hag being appointed as manager. He said, I knew he was a candidate. I said he was a good choice for the job, a very good choice for the job, but I've not had much time to discuss what I'm going to be doing next, because that was a question that was put to him as well in relation to his consultancy role, what will happen there. He says, we've not had time to discuss that. So it seems he did have some involvement in the managerial process. Obviously, he didn't interview, but they obviously consulted with him and he said, yeah, he's a very, very good choice. And we always knew that Ralph Rangnick would go Ten Hag over Pochettino. So they've obviously spoken to Rangnick about it, although he wasn't directly involved. He was asked about the changes to the squad in the summer. And this was quite telling as well. He said, look, there's a lot of people who've got contracts expiring who will walk out the club. There's a lot of people who want to be on loan, who are on loan, who want to be out of the club. So there's going to be a significant rebuild in the summer. I've not spoken to Erik yet about the extent of that rebuild. My door is open if he wants to talk to me about what I think about the team and the squad and going forward. But he might not want to do that. He might have his own ideas. But he said, look, we're not talking about 3 or 4 new players here. It's obvious we're talking about a lot more than that. And yeah, I think it's I think Ralph Rangnick, maybe it's a parting shot, maybe it's an eye-opener. He's definitely speaking about new teams, he's definitely speaking about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players going, and he's definitely speaking about 5+ players coming in. And I think he's speaking a very logical way. Now, whether that's to do with next season being we bring 5 or 6 players in, or whether he's talking about the next 2 years, but he's been very clear that we need a new team, and he's been very clear that we need a new direction, and he's been very clear that there's a lot of players that are going to walk out the club that are going to need replacing. The problem that Man United have got is that when you have 6 players walking out the door for free, Lingard, Mata, Matic, Cavani, Pogba, yeah, you make a bit of money on their wages, but the new players still need wages. So there's a balancing act there. You might save 40 million in wages, but you only save 40 million if you don't buy anybody else. And obviously buying somebody else, you've got to spend money, and then you've got to pay wages on them. Welcome to the Members Club, Ron it. So the problem that United have got is that, yes, you've got 5 or 6 players, 7, 8 players maybe, walking out for free. But you need to bring 5 or 6 players in, and you can't bring 5 or 6 players in with 120 million. So you've got to sell more than 5 or 6 players. Well, you're not selling 5 or 6 players; they're walking out the door for free. You're going to need 10 players to walk out the door, because you're going to need to sell 2 or 3 just to make enough money to buy 5 or 6. So we will have to let some players go. Now, somebody just mentioned Eric Bay leaving the club. Sorry, Eric Bay. Well, Eric Bay is probably going to leave in the summer. I can't see how he's going to stay. Should he be playing for Man United tomorrow instead of Maguire? Yeah. So should Lindelof. So should Phil Jones. But I don't think Eric Bay will be playing tomorrow. And therefore, he's got to be allowed to move on. Eric Bay is one of the players that's not happy. Eric Bay is one of the players that may well have been, putting things out there that he's not happy. Dean Henderson's had it levelled against him. Martial's had it levelled against him. Some would say you can't blame them, but they're not happy and they need to go. Dean Henderson needs to go 100%. Get out of the club for your career. Get out. Eric Bay needs to go. Get out for your career. Get out. You've got to go. So, and we should get some money for them as well. I mean, it might not be a lot, but you might get 30, 40 million. So we've got to do that. On the Arsenal game, he said, look, Arsenal, they're a fresh, young side. Arteta's doing a good job. It's going to be a difficult game. That's where he said we need to be more aggressive and confident in this game. I do think we'll see a different United tomorrow. I do think we'll see a different United tomorrow, because I think you see a different United when Varane's in the back four straight away anyway. We've never been smashed with Varane in the team. We've been smashed quite a lot this season. How many times have we been smashed this season? Basically all 4 games against Liverpool and Man City. Obviously Watford, Leicester. There's probably more. But yeah, we've been smashed 6 times really. And I know the Man City game at the Old Trafford was only 2-0. But that was an annihilation. So Varane hasn't played in any of those games. With Varane back, we'll be a better team. With Ronaldo up front, we'll be a better team. With McTominay in the team and Pogba out, look, it at least makes us... Pogba hasn't played that well recently. McTominay's not played that well, but we need McTominay back because we've lost Pogba, and we know that Matic can't play. So we need that energy. So, look, we will be better tomorrow, I'm sure of it. We might, if everything goes right, we might get a positive result. We might get a draw. We might even nick it. But we all know Arsenal are the favourites. What I'm thinking about the game tomorrow, and I'm sure what Ralph Rangnick is thinking, is like, how many points can we get from the next 5 games that give us a good chance of being in Europe next year? Not top 4. I'm talking about Europa League, because we could still... I look at the last 5 games of the season. Arsenal away, Chelsea at home, Brighton away, Brentford at home, and Palace away. I mean... It's not beyond the realms of possibility that we don't win another game. On the other hand, we might win 5. So we've got to try and find something in the dying embers of this season where we can get some points. I, personally, and I know not everyone agrees with me with this, I desperately want us to be in the Europa League next year. I want us to be in the Champions League, but I'm realistic. I said it in January, I don't think that'll happen. But I do want us to be in the Europa League, because if we are going to be a new team next year... I've been playing football all my life. I'm sure you've been playing football all your life. You don't learn how to be a team on the training ground. You don't. This is why Rangnick will say Rashford's been brilliant in training all week, and then he'll have a crap game on a Saturday. Because training's not playing football. This is why James Garner being on loan at Forest for a season is far better doing that, playing competitive football in the Championship, than training with the first team all week. Training is training. It's match day that matters. And if we're in the Europa League, that's another match day. 2 match days a week. Which means you're getting double the chance to try your team out, find out who's it and who's not. People are going, well, no, I disagree. I think we'll be all right. I think we're better off training. But how are we better off training? Because you get players who are brilliant in training who are not good on a match day. So the more match days we have, the quicker I think Ten Hag's rebuild will happen. The players are so bad that playing with Big Six looks like a testimonial game, says Abdallah. And Brentford home comes before Brighton away, Mark, says George Carl. Sorry, I've said the names in the wrong. I've said the games in the wrong order. So it's actually Arsenal away, Chelsea away at home, Brighton at home. Sorry, Brentford at home, Brighton away, Palace away. So only 5 games left. Wolves are in a bit of a massive slump at the moment. Yeah, but they're always capable of picking up points. We just need to, if we can get to 60 points, I think we'll be in the Europa League. But you know, we will see. We'll see what happens with it. But look, a summary of Ralph Rangnick's press conference. I thought there's some really good points in there. As I said, the big takeaway for me was when he was talking about Erik Ten Hag, and he said with the pre-season, his own staff and a new team will see improvement. And I think that was basically Rangnick saying, this is why I failed. Didn't get my own staff, haven't had enough time with this team, and I'm having to deal with a team that I've inherited that I can't make changes to. And I would say what I've said many times before, I don't care if you get Erik Ten Hag, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp to take over from Rangnick in mid-December. I don't think we'd have seen anything different. These players have let this club down, and whether it's the leaks, whether it's just the performances on the pitch, they've consistently let us down. And you can talk about tactics and everything like that, but I've watched every single game, as have many of you. I've watched every single game since Ralph Rangnick's been here. And when you watch it, you know it's not tactics. It's literally players who can't be arsed. It's players who don't like each other. It's players who don't really understand what shirt they're wearing. It's players without direction. And they're playing against other teams who are hungry, who are motivated, who understand their role, who can see their future. United have just been lazy all season. As I said to Paul Ince yesterday, I don't know whether it's literally downing tools, but it's lack of motivation. And if you've ever played football, you'll understand what I mean. It's like when you're playing in a team that you're happy with and you're confident in, you will play better. When you're playing in a team that you're not happy in it, the motivation goes, and we've seen that. And players will go, well, I always try. I'm not saying you're walking on the pitch and saying I'm going to kick that ball. I'm going to purposely misplace that pass. It's not that simple. It's not like they're walking out there deliberately. Well, I hope not. I hope they're not deliberately going out there and sabotaging our season. But you almost are doing it in a different way because there's no motivation. You can tell by your body language how lazy the passing is, how desperate you are when you're on the ball, how you're not tracking the runners. The motivation's not there. And that's basically downing tools in a footballing term. Why is it that with Maguire in defence in the majority of our games we conceded so many goals and yet his family think he's the best player in the club? How deluded are him and his family? Says, I don't know. Well, look, I don't like that. It's a super chat. I've read it out. I wish I'd read it just before. I've got no problem with Maguire's family, Pogba's family, Ronaldo's family. You've answered your own question. It's family. It's loyalty. Family loyalty, isn't it? I've got no problem with that. What do you think they're going to do? Come out and say such and such is a load of shit? You're not coming round for Sunday dinner and forget your Christmas presents? Like, family's going to be loyal to their family. There's no problem with that. There's no problem with that. And ultimately, we shouldn't be talking about things like that because that's personal. We should be looking at a footballer and assessing a footballer on their abilities. And I just think in relation to Man United players this season, this will be the season. Whereas I think with Mourinho and Van Gaal and Moyes, they got the blame. The managers got the blame and they got the sack. I think this is the first season post Sir Alex where, yeah, look, Ollie wasn't good enough, but there's a big sympathy to Ollie. He was just out of his depth. There's a big sympathy to Rangnick because he inherited a mess and he's just not been able to do anything about it. This is the first season post Sir Alex where it's exclusively on the players. It's on the players that they've not been good enough. And ultimately, that's the bottom line, isn't it? We're not we're not doing it based on speculation. This is the worst season we've had in the Premier League. We've been humiliated by at least 6 or 7 teams this year, sometimes twice by those very same teams. We've lost nearly every midfield battle. Our goalkeepers made more saves than most goalkeepers in the Premier League. Our defence is just all over the place. The criticism of these players as a collective, with 1 or 2 exceptions, is that you are the worst set of players we've seen in the Premier League era. You're not fit to wear the shirts. And that's not based... It is based on frustration, and it is based on, anger and everything like that. Of course it is, because people are passionate about their football club. But it's also based on fact. They can't moan about the criticism they've had. Just look at the league table. Look at the games you've played in. No United player can moan about criticism. It's not gone too far in the sense of your football criticism. You've not been good enough. Ajax play their last game a week before us. Is there any chance for Ten Hag's involvement in the final game of the season? No, Glenn. Have a word. Course not. Course not. It's not. Somebody just said, can you just check Twitter? I will happily check Twitter if there's anything worth checking. But no, look, Erik Ten Hag's contract won't hit until July, so there won't be anything about that. Let me see. Antonio Rudiger's agent. Let's see if I can help revive this sleeping giant. Oh. Does he have any other clients? I tell you what, that's a very interesting thing. Antonio's Rudiger's agent on Instagram. Let's see if I can help this sleeping giant. Bit disrespectful. To Chelsea. I mean, this is live hitting now. I'm just trying to see if I can get you any more info. I mean, I would happily take Rudiger at this football club. I do think it's disrespectful to Chelsea for an agent to start, touting their client off to another club when there's still games to play. If that was the other way around and it was Mino Raiola about Paul Pogba to Man City, we would lose our shit. So look, let's be. Let's not be classless as a fan base, because we're all over the place at the moment. We're this, we're that, we're great, we're not. Rudiger is a free agent in the summer. It's no secret that Rangnick has said we should go for him. I think in relation to Rudiger, one of the great things I like about Rudiger is not just is he one of the best centre-backs in the world this season and last season, he's an absolute shithouse. He reminds me of Herrera. He gets involved in everything. So look, he's a Chelsea player, and I'm not going to be disrespectful to Chelsea. They've got FA Cup finals to play and stuff like that. But if he's available and United get him, I'd be over the moon. I'd be over the moon, because you're bringing a player in. The thing about Timber is that he's coming in, he's a young player, he's one for the future. If you bring Rudiger in, he's one for now. And I'd be over the moon with it. But we'll have to just wait and see. And obviously, we would be getting him because we would be throwing big wages at a player again. Do we want to do that? I think he's 28 as well. Do we want to do that? Personally, yes, I would do it. But do we want to do that? Very, very good player. Very, very good character. People will say Rudiger and Varane. It's probably not. It probably isn't. Varane's injury problems worry me a little bit. But you can't. It's like Cody says. You couldn't say no on a free. You couldn't. And he's a free agent. And he is a free agent, but he can't be talking to United. You've got to remember that. He can't talk to United. He can talk to Real Madrid. He can talk to PSG. You're not able to talk to clubs in your own league when you're a free agent until the summer. So we can't be talking to him. We can't do a deal He can do it at Bayern Munich, he can do it at Real Madrid. It's like Pogba. Pogba could go to Man City or Chelsea, but he can't do it now, but he can be talking to Real Madrid. So we've got to be very, very careful. I mean, I'd love to buy 2 centre-backs, Rudiger and Timber. That would be fantastic. But on a free transfer, you should be sniffing around a deal like that anyway. You can only ask. Teams outside top 4 that have conceded less than United: Burnley, Villa, Palace, Brighton, Wolves. Terrible is what happened, but cue the sympathy vote, says Sean O'Rourke. Peter says, man, we love you, Mark, but stop with all the rumours. That's the whole point of the show, mate. I can't not bring you facts. There is a tweet out there that's literally just gone out. Mike Taylor, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. That reminds me, just before I go, 8 o'clock show tonight. It's the Friday night Q&A. It's always a good show. Make sure you tune in for that. I'm actually playing FIFA at 3 o'clock. I've got a cup final with United, so you can tune in for that on Twitch. I think I've dropped the link in the video description if you want to give me a follow, and you'll get your notification, or I'll tweet it on @MarkGoldbridge. And as Mike Taylor's done, if you want to join the members club, click the join button. It's also at the top of the live chat. We've got a brand new video that's just gone out in the last half an hour. It compares Nkunku to Bruno. Some exclusive content going up every week on our members section as a little bit of a thank you for people who support the channel. You also get your badge next to your name, like Daniel's got there in the chat. Yeah, we've got Friday night QA. I'm just about to whack the Formula 1 on as well for the qualifiers. I am doing Formula 1 over the weekend on That's Football. I'm also doing Tyson Fury tomorrow night on That's Football. So busy weekend. Obviously United tomorrow lunchtime. It's a brilliant weekend of sport, and it's an exciting time around Man United. And look, whether we get Rudiger or not, keep your eye on it. But I'd certainly welcome it, United. Thanks everyone for watching, and yeah, check out the members section if you are a member. The reason I'm shouting out is a lot of you are members and you might not know the videos there, so check it out. Speak to you all in a bit, and thanks for watching. Take care.